Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and I'm happy to see all you here. Did you have a good lunch? Yes? All right. We have a very exciting plenary session this afternoon. I think we have everyone here, so let's get the ball rolling. It's a great privilege to welcome Reverend Father Esteban de Sas, who works in the office of the Prefect of Studies of the General Council of Opus Dei in Rome. We are grateful to have him here with us today as he talks about Christian identity, the Christian identity of our schools. So please join me in welcoming Father Esteban with a warm round of applause. Is it working?
Yes. Let's see. Okay. Does function? Okay. Well, it's a tough hour, so if everyone gets asleep, no worries. Well, I would like to begin this session by sharing a brief story. I was inspired by the institutional emblem of PAREF, which depicts a boat and 3 stars. A beautiful image that speaks of a country with a rich maritime tradition, thousands of islands, incredible, Philippines. Some time ago, I met a remarkable athlete who participated in the Atlantic rowing race. This is a team competition of small boats racing to see who can cross the Atlantic Ocean first. The race starts usually in the Canary Islands and ends in the Caribbean or maybe Brazil or Argentina. It is a distance over 3,000 miles, which typically takes around 50 days to complete, just rowing. Amazing. It is a challenging journey that requires intense training, preparation, and resilience. Participants must carry food, know how to fish, and be prepared both psychologically and mentally. I heard about this competition of a friend of mine. He's called Juan Carlos. He's from Guatemala. And he participated in the edition 2005. And he described how perilous the journey was. For example, the ocean currents make navigation difficult, and storms are a constant danger. In fact, the year he competed, one boat never reached its destinations. It's a difficult one. But he also shared with us in a get-together a couple of years ago that there were also good times, like his memory of Christmas. Christmas night during the race. It was a calm and a starry night. The stars reflecting on the water, he said, creating a seamless connection between the sea and the sky. And life is compared to a journey, usually. And the boat serves as a beautiful metaphor, the board here in the logo of PAREF. A useful metaphor for it. We don't choose our port of departure. It is given us as a gift. The year and country in which we were born weren't our choices. However, the port of arrival depends on us. We are aware that there is a destination we are called to reach. And education is precisely this, helping others reach the port. So, let's see, I have to point. Okay. The root of education is an Indo-European root, eduk, which means to lead. And also, it means exducere, to guide, and also draw out. An educator is like a star. We had here 3 stars in the emblem of PAREF, who serves as a guide to students, someone who leads another person and does so by helping them bringing out the best within themselves. Also, the word pedagogue, which means it's a complex word, child, guide, leading, sums up this task well. He is the one who guides the teacher or leads the children. Before becoming a priest, I dedicated several years to education, working in a similar school as Southridge. I remember what the school director, someone I learned a lot from, told me, Esteban, the teacher work is paid in time. Indeed, over time, I have seen how the work of many teachers profoundly impacts people's lives. I saw in those children who were growing on the outside, but above all, they were growing on the inside. Growth thanks to education. And that's beautiful. Yesterday, we had a get-together, and also the director told me, Esteban, you are going to work in the most important profession in life, because you are not going to build buildings or machines. You are going to work with people. People are the more important thing in the world. So your task, our task as educators, is very, very important. We are helping to flourish. For this reason, also the fact that education requires time, which is very beautiful. Pete, talking with Pete, we were talking, well, in his talk, he said that education sometimes is hard because we are not expecting the fruit today, neither tomorrow. We have to wait. So we hope. We are in this year, Jubilee of Hope. Education is also having hope, like in the horizon of our daily task. We are seeders. We are seeders. Life can be seen as a mission to fulfill oneself. Helping others flourish is part of the teacher role. We can see existence as a task, fulfillment. And human beings flourishing not is isolation, but through relationships. Juan Pablo, he explained that, and also Pete, they talked about the importance of relationships. So the school is like the atmosphere. The seed flourishes thanks to the interaction with the environment, water, soil, sun, air. And this is beautiful. The school is like the place. And little by little, from the 7-year-old boy, I don't know here in Philippines, but maybe we are like with a person for 10 years. We are very close to year by year, seeing how it's growing, mainly in the inside, and that's beautiful. These relationships are like the environment that a seed needs to grow, flourish, and bear fruit. So the school is like this space, and it requires time, a lot of time, and it should be like an environment to flourish. Many hours of their children and adolescents have been spent here, and how important it is that its flourishing points to what is essential in life, which is eternal life with God. You know these words from St. Augustine, quia fecisti nos a te et inquietum et cor nostrum done requiescant in te. You can't understand these words. You have made us, Lord, for yourself, and our heart is restless until it rests in you. Beautiful words. Pete told, in his speech, he told us about the importance of the meaning of life. Purpose was the first idea of the word prime. The why. And we believe, well, I don't know the situations here of everyone, but Christians, we believe that our vocation is here to see God. Yesterday, I shared, sorry for the anecdote, but I think it helps. The father, the prelate of Opus Dei, he speaks with a few words, and he goes directly to the essential things. And well, I heard this anecdote from Don Jorge Gisbert, who is another priest. He usually goes with him to everywhere. And they were celebrating an anniversary, I think, of the election of the father, the fifth one, I think so, with the father with his daughters. There was like, they were passing a fountain, a feast, jokes, music, and at a certain point, a woman there asked the father, "Father, what's your dream?" It's a very interesting question. If you ask someone, "What's your dream?" you are asking, "What's your purpose in life? Why are you here?" So it's like you are asking someone to like a revelation of his inner life. And the father said, my dream is the same as yours. Vultum tum domine requiram. Which means, I want to see your face, God. That's my dream. I am here on earth, moving me in this direction, to see, face God. So that's beautiful, and it's important, you as educators, to have this idea always behind. We are addressing the idea of Christian identity. And JP, we were waiting the question, what are the keys? What are the keys? Well, I don't know if you all were in the speech of JP, but there was one question. There are the keys. It was the key answer. And the first word was identity. Well, it's interesting. The experts recommend to start our method, our work, from our identity. Part of our identity is we are a Christian school. And we have to think about this. We're helping others. I want to share with you some quotes of San Josemaria because I think we are all inspired on his words. And there is a letter, which is letter number 5. I suggest you to read and study this letter. You can buy it online. It's available. So the letter is called Eunte Sergo. Eunte Sergo, which, well, docete omne gentes, go and teach all nations. Beautiful. Those are the first words. For 20 centuries, the Holy Church of Jesus Christ, faithful to her founder's command, has been carrying out her mission to teach all people the way of salvation, truth and life. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations. And then, as Christian faithful, we have heard Christ's command, Eunte Sergo docete omne gentes. We are not talking here about a function delegated by the church hierarchy, of a circumstantial extension of the hierarchy's own mission. We are talking of the specific mission of laity, inasmuch as they are living members of the Church of God. So, here, San Josemaria, first, he quotes Jesus, the mission to teach all nations. We usually think, well, maybe it could be a message for priests, for religious people, but he is talking to lay people. He's talking to you. This mission is not reserved exclusively for the hierarchy of the church, but extends to all Christians. And little by little, on the 50s, 60s, little by little, parents, especially parents, they receive this mission. And they founded different projects, schools worldwide, as the Father says in his message, and we are grateful with God because there is a lot of fruit all over the world for decades. We had to be grateful with God for that. The schools inspired by the spirit of San Jose Maria have this as their foundation: an evangelical route carried out but lay faithful. So, beliefs, not ideas. How does this Christian mission manifest itself in education today? Who should be responsible for Catholic education in a world increasingly hostile to faith? So, the first idea, I don't intend to enter into a debate about secularism in education, a topic that is increasingly shaping Western thought. I only wish to highlight 3 key ideas. Well, the first one, the spiritual dimension of life cannot be marginalized. If schools exist to help lives flourish, they must not and cannot exclude people's spirituality, the religious dimension. Much could be said about this. Studies even suggest that a fulfilled, happy life often includes a religious dimension. Our approach to education is for life as a whole, encompassing all facets of existence. It cannot overlook Christian life, as we saw earlier when discussing life's ultimate purpose. Well, okay, so a Christian-inspired school also integrates the spiritual dimension, must be integrated because of our desire, our inner desire that we all humans have. There is no neutral education. This is the second idea. There is a Spanish philosopher who said, ideas are something we have, but beliefs are something we are in. We all have ideas that can change over time, but we also have beliefs, bedrocks upon which we build our life, like this beautiful image. This imagery of a house built on rock resonates universally. All human beings believe in something. Even atheists believe that God does not exist. The education imparted always takes place within the framework of a certain beliefs. The challenge lies in ensuring that these beliefs align with humanity's true calling. Humanity's true calling. And then, thus, students and parents have a right to hear about God, receive religious education. Well, this situation might change. Each country has different challenges. I think that here in Philippines, we have like a religious background, a Christian religious background, but we have to, I think, have this idea. Talking about the spiritual dimension is very, very important. Well, let's move on. Civic initiative and Christian-inspired schools. Let's return to some quotes of San Jose Maria. We work as responsible secular Catholics, exercising all our rights as ordinary citizens, members of the work or not, in the service of God, and feeling in our hearts the urgency of the apostolic mission, which belongs to all the Christian faithful as members of the body of Christ. It is urgent to prepare good teachers and lecturers, giving them a thorough training in human knowledge, teaching skills, Catholic doctrine, and personal virtues. All the letter is addressed to lay people. And that's the idea behind this. The urgency of the apostolic mission, prepare good teachers. The reality of secularism demands teachers' religious preparation. This task cannot be delegated just to priests or areas exclusively dedicated to religion, and well-trained teachers are needed. And yesterday, I shared with a group some ideas because we had last November a similar encounter like this in Chile, one of the conclusions was that we must increase like the dignity, if it could be said, of the religious teacher, the profile. Because if a religious teacher helps the students to what is the most important thing in life, well, the religious classes are very important. And it's important also to think about the content. There are many initiatives around this. For example, some universities, University of Navarra and also University de la Sabana in Colombia. Well, some universities have began a new program, like a master of for religious teachers. And it's interesting to develop our preparation as religious teachers. So let's move on to religious education. So it's important to distinguish between two types of religious education. The first one is that religious instruction taught as an isolated subject, separated from the rest of the school's educational framework. Is common in public schools that you have like the religious class isolated from the other. And the other model is the Christian-inspired school. Denomination or not denominational, religious is the inspiration and backbone of the entire project due to its relevance. So Christian instruction is not just for religious classes, but the students learned how to become better Christians in all the classes, in also attending sports, when they go to a convivence or something like that. They are increasing their formation as Christians. So the religious education must be existentially relevant. It must respond to a deep desires of our heart. Instruction, it conveys a message that enlightens, guides, and needs to be understood because, of course, the Word, Jesus, became flesh. So we have to study, we have to understand. Family and civic impact. It should resonate in family life and society. And also, it must have a spiritual dimension, liturgy, sacramental life, devotions, personal spirituality, Christ-centered encounter with Christ. I want to share with you an anecdote. Well, it is a negative one, but it helps, I think so. A few months ago, I spoke with a young man who had recently graduated from a Christian-inspired school. He shared with me how much he enjoyed attending Oriental yoga classes. However, this man had lost his Christian faith. I don't want to delve into whether yoga or mindfulness techniques are beneficial. They, in fact, can indeed promote inner peace and balance, which is very important. My concern was that this young man had lost his faith. And I wondered what might have been lacking in his spiritual education. Perhaps this young man knew the commandments, the sacraments, and even had a solid grasp of doctrine, possibly better than many Christians. Yet Christian life was missing. Maybe he wasn't taught how to pray or to experience Mass as something beyond external rituals. He may not have been guided to penetrate the mystery or how to pray and also have the experience of peace during prayer. Find the depth and peace in Christianity that he found in other ways. Yesterday, in a get-together, we talked about this, how to increase the spiritual life in schools. And, the first idea that I think is facilitate the encounter with Christ. Because Christianism It's not an ethical method or a way of living. Christianism is an encounter with someone. It's to love someone. Jesus, who told us his life, truth, and the way. So if in the school we facilitate, especially through sacraments, well, we are going to increase little by little the spiritual life. Let's go back to another quote of San Jose Maria. You are God's instruments. He's writing, to teachers. You are God's instruments of a marvelous supernatural artwork. Do it conscientiously, with your eyes fixed on Christ, who is the model. Painters set themselves before the canvas every day, painting and repainting as needed. And those who sculpt stone do likewise, removing what is superfluous or adding what is lacking. You have to do the same. Neither more nor less, you are carving statues. All your time must be devoted to preparing these marvelous statues for God. Shift out what is superfluous, add what is appropriate, and examine every day what good qualities they have naturally, so as to increase them, and what defects also come to them from nature, so as to correct them. So interesting. You are instruments for a marvelous supernatural artwork, and not just religious teachers. Every one of you, you are doing a supernatural artwork. The model is Christ, and you are carving statues. And it's a beautiful image because this the artisan, he's working on the wood, and he's working properly in the image of Christ. And you are doing so with your students. Little by little. This is a particular beautiful quote. The students they work with are like wood or stone to be worked on until they acquire the image of Christ. At first glance, this might seem like a mission reserved only for priests. However, San Jose Maria broadens this project by directly addressing all teachers. So, let's talk about the characteristics of the educational model of a Christian-inspired school, which is not, those characteristics are not like, could be another ones, or less ones, but I will not go into detail on every aspect, for they are already well known, but let's briefly remember them. The first one is integral education. Education that addresses mind, intelligence, will, freedom, heart, all the affections. You are the experts here. We have the experts of education of character. Also, relationships between family, teachers, and students. I have read in the pillars in which parents' educational projects is based, parents are as the primary character educations on their children. Hence, it educates the character. Therefore, it's a personalized education. That is a faith-based education. And this is another quote of San Jose Maria: religion classes, as if juxtaposed to the rest of the teaching, are not enough for education to be Christian. Okay, let's focus on the family. In your work, be very mindful of the parents, San Jose Maria wrote. The school or the educational establishment in question is the children and the teachers and the family of the children in a unity of intentions, efforts, and sacrifice. Parents are the first and the main educators, and they must come to see the school college as an extension of their family. Yesterday, I shared an anecdote. I apologize for the personal memory, but last week a friend asked me, why Thank you. Why you became a priest? Well, and the first answer, well, because God called me. But then I thought, well, it was not just because of that. It was because of my parents. And I want to share, I have two sisters, beautiful sisters, and I have parents for me, well, I love them. We always, when we are every 1 hour long trip by car, we always prayed the Holy Rosary. And we started, every time we started the trip, with the prayer of San Jose Maria. And I remember this. In fact, I learned the prayer of San Jose Maria in my family. And I remember also my father, well, we had a garden. I remember my father, Saturday, Sunday afternoons, praying, and I, as a young boy, was playing around him. And I knew that he was talking with God. And of course, from my mother, I learned how to treat God in my family. In fact, how to pray in my family. And that's like the natural. San Jose Maria used to say that 90% of our vocation is because of our parents. So if we're talking not just about education, but the Christian, how to improve, or how to help others to flourish also in Christian life, we have to reach the families. And it's a very important task. Maybe you know that I think that among us here, some are members of Opus Dei, while others are not. That diversity is both beautiful and natural. We are preparing a Congress in Rome next April. It is a very important Congress, well, but it's a beautiful one because we are preparing ourselves to the first century of Opus Dei. And this Congress was preceded, it is called, sorry for apologies for my English, but workshops in all regions, assemblies. Of course, you here in Philippines, you had also this workshop. And in the last year, the second semester, we received a lot of conclusions and ideas all over the world. And we have been working, preparing a document for the Congress with all those ideas. And if you want to like summarize or to one important idea, maybe the first one, because how was repeated this idea, is family. For the next 8 years, which is like the next, we have to reach more families. Help also married couples in their educational duties with their children. Family is a priority. And schools are like in the front line of this. Okay, so family, important. Let's move to another aspects, importance of humanities. We have heard a lot of sports. I love sports. I love biking, also playing soccer. But humanities is very important. 5 minutes, yes, I'm almost finishing. So, I remember, before becoming a priest, I studied industrial engineering, and I received a suggestion and advice from a mentor of mine at that moment. He told me, Esteban, okay, industrial engineering is fine, but it's not related, very direct, which is important in life. It is more related, literature, history, arts. So it's important also to address this. Well, the Spirit opens also to freedom, single-sex education, academic excellence, style of governance, family spirit, and social impact. Well, education for freedom. These schools will also be open to all. We do not discriminate in any way, nor are we classes. We are interested in all souls. Teach them to love freedom and the personal responsibility it entails. Develop the students' personalities, helping them to administer the freedom with integrity. And a supernatural sense, providing them with a means to win the ascetical struggle, giving them doctrine, solid formation, and criteria so that we may no longer be children. Well, there is a beautiful quote of St. Paul, but we can move on. There is a need for teachers and lecturers who know how to teach the human science and arts perfectly, while installing a deeply Christian sense of life in their pupils' minds. Our goal is to align the whole of culture with salvation, interesting words, to illuminate all human knowledge with faith, to form Christians full of optimism, and drive who are capable of living out their divine adventure in the world. Well, we can finish with this short video of San Jose Maria. I don't know if it's in Spanish, but I think it's the subtitle in English. Someone asked me the most important virtue. But can we go?
La humildad.
Okay.
Padre, aquí arriba, aquí arriba. ¿Cuál es la primera virtud que debe vivir un profesor? Yo te diré una cosa, tío, a ti que estás muy arriba. La humildad. La humildad y a la vez el sentimiento claro de que tú, que has preparado la clase, sabes más que nadie. Es perfectamente compatible la una cosa con la otra. Después de tu frecuencia de sacramentos, de tu vida de cristiano que sabe rezar, con una oración que evita el anonimato, porque va directa a buscar al Señor, así sabes más que nada.
So we were talking about virtues earlier, and the question is beautiful. The most important virtue, San Jose Maria says, humility. Because, well, with humility, we are always open to learn more. We are here to learn from the others. And also, I'm learning from you. And, well, thank you for your attention. If you have questions, I don't know if we have time. Do we have time, or? Well, if you have questions.
All right, thank you. Let's give a warm round of applause to Father Esteban. So thank you again, Father, for being with us today and for your inspiring words. I think we have a few minutes for one or two questions before we proceed. So if you have a question, you can proceed. You can go to the mic in front for Father. Anyone who wants to ask or to share something for Father Esteban?
Well, for another key speaker, let's see.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, we met many Christian Catholic schools around the world, and in some places, some of them are Opus Dei, some of them are not. But many of these schools are facing challenges like maybe, for example, mentorship. Having mentoring programs, sometimes they don't have enough resources to have that each child has a mentor, which they can meet like every 2 weeks whatsoever. They are also facing challenges in which maybe it's impossible to have single-sex education because the government or the law is prohibiting this approach to schools. And in some other places, it seems that even the teaching of religion is something that is going to be forbidden. So the question that I have, is it possible to be a Christian school when you cannot teach religion, for example? Is it possible to be a Christian religious school if you don't teach religion, or even an Opus Dei school if you don't have mentoring, if you don't have single sex, if you don't have what is truly necessary to be a Christian school or to be a Christian Opus Dei school? Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I will say that Opus Dei doesn't have like a model. It is beautiful. Opus Dei inspires different kind of projects all over the world in different ways. For example, there are many schools that are not single-sex education, but they have San Jose Maria as his model. For example, I remember a school in the United States. If you go to the chapel, you find San Jose Maria. This school doesn't have like an agreement, but they are being inspired because Opus Dei is open to everybody. In fact, San Jose Maria used to say that the apostolate of the Opus Dei is like a sea without shore. Okay? So there are too many possibilities. Maybe it's not possible to have mentoring, or maybe mentoring is, I think, more related with the character formation, and the experts should talk about that. But if you want to be a Christian-inspired school, I think that some things must to be, for example, well, little by little, we are increasing the possibility to celebrate in Mass, to have like the sacraments, because it's important. In some countries it's not easy because they have no priest, or maybe they don't have the possibility, the permission for the bishop. But, well, they think creative ideas, they go to another place, but it's important to have the encounter with Christ through sacraments. Religious classes are important, but as I said, it's not like the fact that defines a religion-inspired school. It could be the temptation. We are a Christian-inspired school because we have religion classes, and it's not just the answer. In fact, the religious-inspired, as the Father said in his message, is mainly, the Father also talking about inspired school, he usually talk about an institutional identity, Christian identity, which you can identify, and there are some characteristics. But mainly, the identity is shaped with the life of the people who work there. If we are good Christians, if we pray, if we teachers, board of directors, well, it will like illuminate the life of the school, all the virtues. So who can measure this fact? But this is, I think, the most important thing. So there is important, like an institution, to have, if it's possible, the priest, the chapel, mass, religious class, but at the same time to have like the atmosphere, which is like created by the people who work there. But the Opus Dei moves in different, not Opus Dei as an institution, well, as an institution, Opus Dei makes agreement with the schools, but mainly people of Opus Dei, by their own, well, they promote the schools in a different way, and also Opus Dei is there, because there are people of Opus Dei working there. So, I don't know if it's okay.
Thank you, Dr. Juan and Father Esteban. Anyone more who would like to ask a question before we proceed? Yes, you may come to the mic.
Thank you very much, Father, for that presentation.
Thank you.
My takeout from this session is the greatest virtue of a teacher is humility. I didn't know that. and I've taught for many years. Thank you very much. Now, my question is, what would you say? There's something you said about parents are the first educators of their children, and they should be able to see the school as an extension of their families. Now, what would you say of a family that is not very keen on impacting virtues, and more so the virtue of integrity? How would you help us as teachers to help those parents? Thank you.
Well, this word was a quote of San Jose Maria, to see the school as an extension of the family. So I think that you have the answer because integrate families to the school by conversations with them, regular conversations with them, listen to them, because also family has different challenges today, and we are facing different situations. But also, it's important to be clear with the families, I think so, from the beginning, what is the identity of the school, and if they agree with that, because in family, they have it, okay? Because for the children, it will be difficult if they receive a formation, Christian formation, that is not like the same in the family. So, all the ideas, for example, taking advantage of the sacraments that the children usually do, for example, the First Communion, for example, the confirmation. If usually parents are like very sensitive for this, if we take advantage to explain them, also to explain them how important it is for their children to see their parents also attending Mass, well, we are reaching family. Having Mass, for example, every time with families. We have, you have, I think, well, I have gone to the chapel, and there are a lot of initiatives around this. But maybe you can share between you some best practices, good experience in how to help families also increase their faith. And they will appreciate that. It's part of our duty, I think so, our mission. Okay.
Thank you very much for that question, and let's give another round of applause for Father Esteban.
Thank you.
So before we take a short break, Father Esteban will be having a get-together with student leaders tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the basement cafeteria. If there are young people who might be interested to attend, they're very much welcome.